Hey guys, welcome back to Weld.com. So today we have a great episode for you. We're going through some of the video request forms online that you guys submitted through the new Weld.com website. So if you haven't been there, go check it out. Today, Jaden Lopez wants to know how to start a welding business. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to give you 7 different tools you must have to start a welding business, and then some additional bonus content at the end of the video, so stay tuned. All right, so the first thing you want to consider, if you're going to start a welding business, you're definitely going to have a welding machine. So I highly recommend getting something that is small and portable and a multi-process type machine. So I was fortunate enough to where I live, I can run a business out of my residential home. There are certain places in the area where you cannot run your business out of your home. So if you can't start your business at your house, you're just starting out, you can't afford a shop, take your business on the road. There's a lot of money to be made in mobile repair welding. Get yourself a small portable multi-process machine. That way you can do stick, MIG, TIG, flux core, spool gun, all that stuff. Get one of those machines, couple that up with a small generator. I say this because not a lot of people have enough money to go out and buy an engine drive machine right off the bat. So if you can't go out and get an SA200 or a Bobcat or a Trailblazer or a Ranger, start off with a small multi-process machine and a generator. You'll be able to do work around apartment complexes, restaurants, residential and commercial buildings. It's just unlimited the amount of stuff you can do. Also, don't focus on one aspect of welding. Some people are really good at stick welding and that's all they know. Expand your horizons. Learn MIG, learn TIG, learn flux core, because that way you're not turning away jobs because you don't have those abilities. So especially if you're in school, learn all the processes. Don't just quit at one. So next up, I'd like to talk about, now that we have the welding machine, let's get into some of the cutting tools that you're definitely going to want to have. All right, so next we want to talk about cutting. If you don't have access to oxy-fuel torch or a plasma cutter, I know those would be my two first opinions to get, but a portaband is a lot cheaper and pretty effective for what it is. So if you're going to be going out and doing repairs, making new stuff, for the most part you can cut everything up with a portaband. So you can cut steel, stainless, aluminum, whatever you get into, cut down bar stock, round solid stock, square tube. Sky's the limit, right? With this one I have about a 5-inch cutting depth in here, and that's what you want to look for. You want to try to maximize the amount of cutting depth. So I used to do a lot of stairs and handrail repairs. This was like my go-to saw. I would cut everything up to do all my repairs with that. I could cut out the old stock and cut the new stock to the appropriate size and then put it, weld it back in. So I highly recommend one of these. I don't know too many shops that get by without one. So these are a great piece of equipment that you want to, consider getting into your toolbox and using this while you're out on the road. All right, one thing you're definitely going to need starting your own business is a grinder. I recommend not specifically this one. It can be any brand you want, but I like this one because it's a 4.5-inch grinder, a 5-inch grinder, and a 6-inch grinder. And it comes with the different guards that are appropriate for it. So this one is the 4.5-inch guard. You can put a 5-inch guard or a 6-inch guard on there depending on what you're going to be using to cut or grind or detail or clean up or repair. You want to make sure you're using a guard on your grinder just for the simple fact that you're paying for your own insurance. And if you get put down by one of these things, you could be in rehab for months trying to get your hand back working if you slip with one of these things. So you want to make sure you use the guards on them. Don't throw this away as soon as you get it. I know a lot of people do. We're going to be doing a full video on grinder safety, so check that out as well. But in addition to the grinder, you want to make sure that you have the appropriate accessories for the grinder. So a good quality cutoff wheel. I recommend buying a box of each of the different types of wheels that we're going to show. This is a great one because it leaves smaller burrs. You're able to cut thin sheet metal as well as thicker materials. You definitely want a cutting wheel in addition to your portaband, right? So this is a great accessory for your grinder. Next up, for all your prep work, detail work, polishing, you want to get some Zerk wheels. So I recommend getting a box of Zerk wheels. Doesn't have to be 4.5-inch. Like I said, you can get 5 or 6 depending on the type of work that you're going to be doing. Zerk wheels are awesome, and I recommend getting at least a box of these to start off with. And then obviously a hard rock, right? Everybody wants to use a Zerk wheel for the most of the time when they could be using a hard rock to get rid of mill scale or, prep things or take welds out or clean things up. Start off with these, follow it up with a Zerk wheel, for your finished top coat. These are going to be a little bit more expensive than your solid rocks. So kind of take that into consideration. Use these as much as possible. Detail, finish work, and prep work with these. All right, so you're no doubt gonna have to drill out some holes or put some fasteners in or remove some fasteners to get to the work you have to do any repairs on, or once you fabricate something, you're gonna have to install it. So I would highly recommend getting yourself a good quality drill as well as an impact. I would prefer a cordless version because that's one less cable that I have to run to do my job. So cordless version is battery powered, awesome. Just make sure your batteries are charged up all the time. I usually throw a battery right on the charger as soon as I get to the job site and fire the machine up. While I'm welding, I've got batteries charging. With this, I can drill out all my holes. You know, we run a uni-bit, you know, I mean, there's just all kinds of different drill attachments you can run for this, put screws in, and then with the impact, I can use this. I've used it for lag bolts, putting in mechanical fasteners. So if you have self-tapping screws and stuff you have to run in, these things are just awesome for it. Also, you can put different socket attachments on here, and you know, you can put nuts and bolts and all that good stuff. You can put those in or take them out, whether you're doing install or removal. So I highly recommend getting a good quality set of cordless tools, drill and impact. All right, so this next little bit is more of a category than it is a specific tool. These are the things you should be collecting these anyway. You can never have enough tools, and if your wife or your husband says that you have too many tools as it is, you don't need any more, just tell them that Redbeard told you it was okay to go out and buy new tools. I'll deal with the wrath, so you have my permission. So the first thing you want is I would get a complete wrench, Allen key, and screwdriver set. Like I said before, you're going to be taking a lot of things apart, putting them together, doing installs, removals. So you're going to want tools to be able to do that with. Last thing you want to do is be out in the field. You got a bunch of half-inch nuts you got to take apart, and the only thing you have to work with is a crescent wrench. Definitely need a crescent wrench, right? It's a full set of wrenches all in one, metric and standard. So get yourself some wrenches, different hand tools, mechanics types tools. Next thing, I would get a couple of speed squares and layout tools. So speed squares, tape measure, carpenter squares, sliding T-bevels, get you some levels. I recommend at least, you know, like a 8-inch level, 2-footer, and a 4-foot, you know, depending on the type of work you're gonna do. Everything you're gonna put in, it's gotta be square, level, or plumb. So make sure you have the tools to put them in correctly to where they look good and then they function properly. Obviously you're gonna need some different types of marking equipment. I prefer 2 different types of Sharpies. I like the thin Sharpies and then ultra thin or permanent markers, whatever you want to go with. Mark All Pro, I highly recommend those. I use this is my go-to now. And then a soapstone marker, you can get, you know, whatever you like. If you like the round ones, go with that. You like the thicker ones, do that. Whatever you want. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Definitely want some hammers because you're going to be beating on stuff, trying to, you know, hammer it in place. You know, you cut it to fit and build, you know, beat it into suit. Different types of pliers, you know, for cutting wire, cutting cable, working on your MIG welding and stuff. You know, definitely make sure you have a pair of welpers in there, and then obviously a bunch of clamps. As a welder, you can never have too many clamps. So you need sliding clamps, C-clamps, finger clamps with swivel pads. I've got some sheet metal clamps here, or sheet metal vice grips here. Welding pliers. You can never have too much. So just start building up your stuff now, especially if you're in school. Just buy a couple of tools every week. You know, just start off with the small stuff, get the basics down, and then before you know it, you know, you'll have an entire collection. All right, last but not least, I highly recommend getting a calculator, a construction type calculator. Everybody keeps asking about it. This is an app. I'm pretty sure you can get it on the Android store. You can also get it in the Apple App Store. I think this one's like 20, 25 bucks, but it's worth it. It's the same calculator they sell over at Home Depot. It's called the Construction Master Pro, but this way you always have it with you. You don't forget your calculator. It doesn't get damaged. You don't leave it out. Everybody usually takes good care of their cell phone. Download the app. You won't regret it. Always make sure you have pen and paper, or pen and paper, right? I'm dyslexic, sorry. Make sure you have these 2 items because you're going to be doing material takeoffs. You're going to have to list out hardware that you're going to need. Different contacts, people that you've spoke to. Keep a record of all that good stuff. So make sure you have something to write with and something to write on. Those are, I mean, these are probably some of the most important tools you'll have and the cheapest out of all these. So as the viewers, if you guys have anything that you think I missed in this video that would be great, you know, or an asset, a tool, a quick tip, or a resource that might help somebody out starting their own business, especially if you've started up a successful business, you want to pass some information down to the young up-and-comers, go ahead, drop it in the comments section. You know, it's a learning community. You know, we're all here to support one another. So drop that information in the comments section because it just might help somebody else get up off the ground. A very important thing to note about having tools is don't let anybody borrow them because you might not get them back. Not going to mention any names. Man Cub. All right, so obviously you're going to need some PPE. So you want to make sure you have the right stuff, especially you're paying for your insurance. You don't want to be decommissioned. Like I said before, you're the only source of income in this venture to start off with. So obviously you're going to want a good, appropriate welding hood for the type of welding that you're going to be doing. I recommend getting one that has adjustable lenses in it. You can use a fixed shade, whatever you have. Just make sure you have a good quality welding helmet that you can rely on, especially if you're doing a lot of welding. This thing goes down, you're down for the day. Also, I would recommend having a spare or a backup welding hood. Face shield, if you're going to be doing cutting, grinding, anything with rotary tools where, you know, stuff happens, right? Material flies around, discs come apart, make sure you got a face shield. Hard hat, right? You probably don't need these in residential areas, but if you do any side work or subcontracting for construction firms, you're definitely going to have a hard hat. You want to make sure you have that. Keep the top of your grate covered so you get a decent welding cap to put on. Task appropriate or task specific gloves, right? So whether you need general work gloves, different types of welding gloves, make sure you have those at your disposal. Always safety glasses, right? You're definitely going to need safety glasses. So if you're doing any thermal cutting, tinted safety glasses with the appropriate IR shade, and then clear safety glasses for everything. As soon as you get out of the truck, you should be throwing these on your face. Earplugs, okay, you're dealing with power tools, you got a generator going, you got all kinds of other noise going on. Man Cub's making noise in the background, drown them out, get you some earplugs. Welding jacket, so depending on the type of work you're doing, make sure you got the right type of welding jacket. A lot of times you can get away with a light type of welding jacket, but if you're doing some heavy flux core or a lot of stuff that's going to cause a lot of sparks or molten metal or anything like that cutting, you might want to look into some leather sleeves. I highly recommend welding jackets, right? The arc that you're dealing with, and I've seen this so many times, guys just go in there, they put their gloves on and they weld all day. 10, 15 years from now, they're getting patches of melanoma cut out of their forearms. I met a guy the other day that, he had cancer removed from his forearm from not wearing, not covering up from the UV light while you're welding. So may make you look cool and everything right now, but 20 years from now when they're hacking chunks out of your tattoos and stuff, you're going to kind of regret that you're not wearing the covering everything up. So make sure you stay covered up, make sure you stay safe. You're the only source of income in this venture to start with, so stay safe, do what you're supposed to. Check out the ANSI Z49.1. That has all the information in there related to welding and cutting and grinding and all the safety equipment you're going to need for that. So make sure you invest in good quality safety equipment. Okay, so that's pretty much the tools and equipment you're going to want just to start off like a small business. And now for some bonus content. So one of the things that I found out when I started my own business a while back, you're going to need to become legitimate. You want to be legal when you do all this stuff. So some of the things that you might want to consider, the first thing I did is I went out and hired an attorney to help establish my business and give me recommendations on whether I should start an LLC or an S Corp or a sub S Corp. It's going to be entirely up to what your goals are, so I will leave that up to you. I would definitely hire an attorney. I think it cost me like right around $400 to get the articles of organization and some good consultation and good sound legal advice for starting my business. So once you've spoken with your attorney, another thing that I highly recommend is going to, I was fortunate enough in my area to have something called a business development center, and it's a free service provided by the county that you live in, and they will help you start a small business and get it up off the ground. They're going to help you build everything you need, put a business plan together just in case you have to apply for a small loan. So if you went to get a small loan from a bank, they're going to want to see a business plan. Basically, it's all your stuff that's projected, income, gross, all the type of work that you're going to be doing, all that stuff, so you can actually apply for a loan. Once you apply for a loan, you can get bigger, better tools to do more work. So that's one thing you want to consider, is look for the local business development center in your area. The next thing you want to do is you want to reach out to your local insurance agent, because you're going to need, for most companies, most jobs you're going to be doing work for, you're going to need about $1 million worth of limited liability insurance. Now, it sounds like a lot, but it really didn't cost me much to get up and going right off the ground. So you want to look into that. You also want to get your W-9s and all that good stuff in order. Get some references, hire a certified public accountant, somebody you can do your taxes, because once you start your business, you're going to want to file your taxes on a quarterly basis. So if you're not too proficient with your taxes, find somebody who is, right? There's people that do this stuff for a living, hire them to do your business, the legalities of your business. And it's not that expensive to do. especially when you keep up with it, quarterly. One thing I also recommend is get some folders together and business cards made up. So word of mouth is going to travel pretty fast. You can also advertise on Facebook for free in the little gig section, so you can pick up work that way. That's kind of one of the ways I picked up a lot of business. Also stopping by, like we said in a previous episode, stopping by restaurants, stopping by grocery stores, any of those places, apartment complexes, there's always handrail, guardrail, stuff by the pool that always has to be fixed because people are tearing it up. Easy fixes, lots of money to be made there. I made a folder that had my business card in there, had a copy of my W-9, proof of my tax stamp for the county that I was going to be doing work in, insurance paperwork stating that I had $1 million worth of general liability. I would put all that stuff into a folder, and I would go stop and talk to the manager or the superintendents of the various establishments that I went to, drop the folder off, kind of give them a little bit of background about what I do, and say, hey, if you need some work done, go ahead and give me a call. I'll come out here and assess the job, and then we can work out something from there. But I mean, that's pretty much, that's a good way to get started. So I hope that answered your question. Guys, if you have any additional questions you want to see, we can do special episodes. Just go ahead, go to Weld.com, click on that request a video link, type in your information, submit your request, and we'll be happy to do a video for you. So we appreciate you guys subscribing. Make sure you hit us up on Facebook and Instagram. Till next time, make every weld better than your last.